Today on UT Today, the Zika virus is causing travel concerns in South America, why some study abroad students may have second thoughts on going to Brazil this summer.
And the presidential race is heating up. What UT students need to know about voting in this election season.
And a UT lawsuit is generating controversy over rape culture on campus, how students are reacting to those allegations.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Nick Patillo.
And I'm Taylor Gilmore.
As new cases and facts about the Zika virus are coming out across the world, the virus is also causing concern for some UT athletes.
Yeah, I took a look to find out just how serious the virus can be to students.
Raina Hembry isn't your average UT athlete. In addition to playing volleyball, Raina is also part of the Vol Leader Academy, the year-long collaborative program aimed to inspire student athletes to be positive forces for their teams and communities. The only problem? The program capstones with a service project in Brazil, a hotspot for the Zika virus.
I got a call from my aunt, my mom, and my grandma all about it. I was definitely on high alert. I was like, okay, do I still want to do this?
Recently, Zika has gained much international attention as it continues to spread into the U.S., namely among pregnant women. But Dr. Mark Rasnick, an infectious diseases physician at UT Medical Center, says there's no known cure for the disease at this point.
There's even no candidate vaccines right now, and so they're just now starting the ball rolling on thinking about developing vaccines for this. That means it's at least 10 years away.
Now the virus is most prevalent in Brazil, where Raina and other UT athletes will be traveling this summer. Luckily for them, the risk and chance of catching the virus may not be that serious.
Most of the Zika virus actually exists in the northern part of the country where we will not be visiting. And so we feel really good about the situation, but we'll continue to monitor it as we get closer to time.
Dr. Ashley Huffman, Assistant Director for the Center of Sport, Peace, and Society, says while they are taking every precaution for the students, the specific conditions for Zika to have an extreme effect on them is unlikely.
If the Zika virus happens, if they are bit by a mosquito, and it's part of the 2 to 7 day window that we're in Brazil, and they become pregnant during that time, then their parents will probably have a bigger issue with me than the Zika virus.
And facts like these have made students like Raina feel better about traveling to South America.
I definitely think people are just kind of blowing it out of proportion a little bit and maybe not knowing enough about the virus to be okay, let's really look at it. It's not that big of a deal.
Raina encourages other students and parents to get the facts about Zika before they jump to conclusions.
Get online, get a packet, a pamphlet, or whatever you can get, and just educate yourself.
Raina says she's looking forward to her trip to Brazil and has no real concerns about catching the virus while she's abroad.
As we all know, social media has a bigger presence than ever. As UT Today's Courtney Lester reports, it may also have a huge impact on the race to the White House. Courtney?
Thanks, Nick. Nearly $500,000 has gone towards social media spending for the 2016 election season. And while this is nearly 20% higher than in the 2012 election, the use of social media will only increase. The presidential race is in full swing, only 9 months out, and more candidates are using social media as a tool to reach potential voters.
That you would respect those
Dean Rice has helped run 2 presidential campaigns and is currently serving as Chief of Staff for Mayor Tim Burchett.
It's a constant feed of information from all the candidates and from proxy candidates and from proxy organizations and from random people. It's the great equalizer.
Not only are presidential hopefuls informing potential voters, but they are engaging with them in a way that has never been done before.
You're in their kitchen, you're in their car, you're on the plane with them, you're wherever they are where their thumbs work. And so you do have that intimacy now.
And with social media right at your fingertips, it's no surprise people are feeling more connected to candidates. UT sophomore Olana Osborne explains how social media has made presidential hopefuls more relatable.
And it brings these politicians that you see that are in Washington and they're part of the whole thing that all of these people are talking about, but they're also just people. It brings them down. They have all the same apps on their phone as we do, and they use it just the same as we do so that they can try and get in touch with people.
With so many platforms and so many screens, presidential hopefuls now have a chance of reaching you whether you want to be reached or not.
We just are at this buffet and we're just scooping up as much as we can, and social media just gives us all the dishes we could ever hope for.
And this buffet of information is making a greater impact than some may think. In 2012, Facebook by itself impacted a total of 340,000 votes in the presidential election. And that number is only expected to be even higher for this year's race. Back to you, Taylor and Nick.
Thanks, Courtney. Yeah, it definitely seems like the presidential candidates are using more social media in this election cycle than we even saw in 2008.
Especially looking at Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, it seems like they're putting a lot of their political inputs on social media now.
Oh, absolutely. And with the 2016 general election approaching quickly, many are curious to see who will become the next president of the United States. Of course, this falls on the people of the nation, including Vol Nation, to get out there and vote.
I got a chance to speak with the state chairman of College of Republicans, David Snap, and the head of the political science department at UT, Richard Pacelli, about the difficulties with college students with voting.
A line of citizens await in the rain to place their vote at a designated voting facility just off of Kingston Pike on downtown West Boulevard. They know their votes matter, and each of these registered voters can place their ballot here if they're from the county. For many years, the younger generation, ages 18 to 24, have had lower voter turnouts than any other age group. In fact, the U.S. Census Bureau has said it has been this way since 1962. But why?
Well, I think like a lot of college students don't know a lot about politics, so would rather not vote than make an uninformed decision.
I just don't think a lot of people, we have a lot of other priorities.
This year's like candidates don't look like there's not one breakaway candidate.
Many students in college aren't creating time for this civic duty. Although if they did make it to the voting booth, they do think their voices would be heard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, young people tend to lean more liberal, so I think it could sway a lot of elections in states.
But there may be other reasons behind these low numbers in younger voters. David Snap is the statewide chairman of the College of Republicans, an organization on UT's campus that strives to get students politically involved. When asked why college students have a lower voter turnout, he had this to say.
A lot of times people would vote if they just had the resources in their hands. So if we get them signed up and then they just have to go to the poll and check yes or no, they're much more willing to do that than having to go find a voter registration form and go through the whole process on their own.
Some students here at UT may not know about the process of registering to vote, causing a lower turnout as well. If you're in Knox County and you're a registered voter, all you need is a valid photo ID. However, if you are from out of state or out of the county, you need to fill out an absentee form. You can find these at the Howard Baker Center, located on campus. Richard Pacell, head of UT's political science department, has an idea of why the millennial age isn't voting.
I think students feel somewhat disaffected, that they don't like politics. They've grown up in a period where politics is nasty and the parties have really diverged from each other.
Although this is an issue right now, it isn't something that can't be corrected.
I think you can't force people to vote, but you make it as easy as possible to overcome the obstacles to voting.
No matter where you fall in your political values, if you are a college student or just a young voter who is passionate about the 2016 election and the growth of the American nation, you have an important voice to be heard. And there are resources out there that can make sure the nation hears you.
Although the Tennessee primary has come to a close, you still have 7 months to register to vote. October 11th is the cutoff date, and Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th.
Many colleges have had problems with sexual assault, and now UT is being sued for how it handles its own cases here on campus. UT Today reporter Josh Miller talked to students to find out what they think of the allegations.
A recent federal lawsuit filed against the University of Tennessee claims that the university creates a culture in which bad behavior by student athletes is permitted, and those athletes are protected if a crime is committed. As of now, the lawsuit cites 8 unidentified plaintiffs as Jane Does and alleges 8 student athletes committed sexual assault. Some students gave their thoughts on what UT needs to do to help victims and prevent future sexual assaults.
They don't have the experience or the equipment necessarily to do that. I think that should be given to the local authorities.
We need to be helping the victims, by doing everything we can to examine whether something occurred, and then follow the legal course of
I
action.
think another thing is just sex education from an early age, age-appropriate sex education, K through 12, teaching people about boundaries.
UT Athletic Director Dave Hart recently held a press conference answering questions about the situation and showed his support for head football coach Butch Jones.
I believe very, very strongly in what we're doing here in the athletics program at the University of Tennessee, and I trust Butch Jones implicitly. I know who he is. I know what his work ethic is. I know what he's meant to this university well beyond the Department of Athletics.
For UT Today, I'm Josh Miller.
It's uncertain if UT will decide to settle out of court or agree to a future trial date. Still to come on UT Today, the election has impacted more than just the national scene. Why a group of Croatians visited the University of Tennessee during the primary elections.
Plus, smoky smoked Gouda and game day sharp cheddar are just two flavors of all-vol cheese made right here on UT's campus. Why Food Sciences is dedicated to bringing back a decades-old UT tradition.
All right, but we're only buying what you can wear out.
Really?
Welcome back. The American primaries are gaining much more than just national attention.
Yeah, I met with a group of students that traveled halfway around the world just to learn more about our presidential elections.
What are the primaries and what do you expect of the primaries in Tennessee?
Lucia Dosic is part of a group of students from Croatia traveling in the United States. It's all for a documentary the group is doing on the American primaries.
It is a shock because we don't have primaries. We just have 2 or 3 or 4 persons.
Lucia and her classmates traveled from Croatia all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee for the first stop on their American tour.
Through this mini documentary, we will show them the whole process from primaries to presidential elections.
The group has interviewed well-known figures like Congressman Jimmy Duncan and political blogger Glenn Reynolds, and they hope to keep adding to that list as they travel to Washington, D.C. Lucia says coming to Knoxville has exceeded all of their expectations and given the students reassurance as they continue the filmmaking process.
You're so welcoming and patient and, I don't know, open-minded. Very, very good.
They're such a great group of journalists, and we all wish them the best as they continue their trip to Washington, D.C. later this month.
The Food Science and Technology Department in the UT College of Agriculture tends to keep to itself. But as UT Today's Lindsay Limerick reports, they've been working on a project that everyone can benefit from.
When you think of the University of Tennessee, you probably don't think of cheese. But you should. Believe it or not, the University of Tennessee sells its own cheese. In 1972, the university had its own creamery. It sold milk, cheese, and ice cream. The creamery closed down in 1989. But in 2013, Dr. Morgan, the Food Science and Technology Department head, decided to bring it back. Morgan said he wanted to start small, and that meant with cheese. All-vol cheese, that is. He says by starting a cheese business inside the university, students are learning about both entrepreneurial ventures and business skills.
So this gives our students some experience learning opportunities and also provides some visibility for our department and our programs.
For now, the school is partnering with Sweetwater Valley Farms. That's where the cheese is made. The farm makes the cheese the old school way, filling vats with pasteurized milk and letting that set, then draining and adding flavor. The cheese is then aged for 3 to 12 months, depending on the flavor. All-vol cheese consists of 4 flavors: checkerboard mild cheddar, Game Day Sharp Cheddar, Torchbearer Jalapeno, and Smoky's Smoked Gouda. Morgan said the cheese sold well over the Christmas season, almost 1,800 bars. So how do you order the cheese? It's sold in the Food Science Department office, or you can get it online. Morgan says their gift pack is a bestseller. And if you like a little charity with your cheese, then it gets even better. All proceeds go to UT student organizations. Reporting for UT Today, I'm Lindsay Limerick.
Dr. Morgan has big plans for all Vol cheese. He hopes one day to manage a full creamery on UT's campus. The next dairy product you can expect to see in just a few years is yogurt.
Tennessee fans everywhere have been talking about 2-year-old Jax for months. And while their support was strong, the little VFL fan inspired so many has passed away. Jackson Douglas Moles, one of Tennessee's biggest fans, sadly lost his battle with Hurler syndrome in early February, but he left a lasting mark on all of Vol Nation. When Brian Feeney, UT alum and senior art director Tombras Group, learned of Jax's situation, he called up his friend at UT Athletics and asked if the football team could show support for Jax all the way from Rocky Top. Within 1 or 2 hours, Feeney received pictures of almost the entire team, including Coach Butch Jones, holding up Vols Love Jax sign that he had designed. The immediate love from Jax's very own heroes on the football team started a domino effect on Vol Nation support, ranging from students to fans to even former coaches in Philip Fulmer and Johnny Majors.
Different about Tennessee and its fan base, its alumni. When the call goes out, they step up, and I really feel like they'll go that extra mile for people. I think we learned a lot from Jax about how precious life is.
Our hearts go out to the Moles family in Cincinnati and hope that they know how much of an impact the little guy had on the University of Tennessee.
Still to come on you. For the first time in 31 years, the Lady Vols have failed to make it into the top 25. Coming up in sports, we'll have a full rundown of this season's ups and downs.
Oh, shoot. It's Friday. All right.
As noted on the syllabus, every Friday is Big Orange Friday.
Today is Friday! Yeah, go Vols!
Excuse me, sir. Can you tell me what day it is?
It's Friday!
If you're a Tennessee Vol, every Friday is Big Orange Friday.
Welcome back. Channing Murphy has our UT Sports Roundup this week. Channing?
Thanks, Nick. You might know Tennessee point guard Kevin Punter for his stellar play on the court this season. But as UT Today's Alfred Talaferro reports, there's even more going on off the court.
You see the second leading scorer in the SEC. You see a guy with a relentless drive. But what you see today doesn't tell you how Kevin Punter got here and how he continues to grow.
So I was just at the point where, I didn't know what I was going to do in terms of basketball-wise. Went to prep school, started getting, highly recruited. But, my SAT just held me back. And then, went the JUCO route. Didn't know much about it. And, ended up doing that for 2 years. And that's when everything pretty much turned around for me. Every day, as much as I can, I always try to work out before I practice, during that daytime or whatnot. So usually I'll probably try to do something in the morning for about maybe almost an hour, intense, and then, go about my day.
Go about his day he did. Punter has become a respected player nationally, partially because of the confidence he has in his shot.
Once I see a few of them go down, I'm going to keep letting it go until I miss.
Not only is Punter teaching himself on the fly, he finds himself figuring out how to be a leader on this team in the process.
It's definitely not. A lot of people think being a team captain or leader is easy, but it comes with a lot of responsibility, and not everyone can handle that. A lot of times when, you're the guy getting yelled at the most by coach, and it comes with it. But I'll take it, and like I said, I learn every single day from coach, from my teammates. My teammates help me a lot, and I wouldn't be the type of player I am today or the type of leader I am if it wasn't for my teammates and coaches. Even before I came here, I watched a lot of college basketball, and I was familiar with dudes like Wayne Chisholm and guys like that, just for the simple fact that it's something about Tennessee that stuck out to me, and being that I play for him now is kind of cool.
Punter, three, got it!
For UT Today, Alfred Telefero reporting.
Punter plans to graduate in May and is already beginning to prepare for the NBA draft on June 25th. Tennessee head coach Holly Warlick said her team was in uncharted waters this season after their loss to South Carolina back in February. Over the past 31 years, the Lady Vols have held the #1 spot in the rankings 103 times. This year, Tennessee experienced a new kind of firsts.
If we had one loss, I think it would be negative. So all I know for us to do is go back and keep working.
One loss for the Tennessee Lady Vols turned into a record-setting 12 losses this season. The preseason #4 ranked Lady Vols started off 6-0 but dropped 3 of their next 5, including a 14-point loss to 15th ranked Stanford at the time. Next up would be Oregon State. 2 top 25 Pac-12 opponents in a row didn't scare Tennessee. Diamond DeShields led her team with 14 points to give the Orange and White their biggest win of the season against the 7th-ranked Beavers. Fast forward to February 25th. Tennessee lost a heartbreaker to 2nd-ranked South Carolina, and Andrea Carter had this to say afterwards.
A lot of fans and a lot of the people on the outside, they see the score, they see the L on the stat sheet, but they forget that there's still a lot of time left.
6 days later, the Lady Vols faced the 8-18 LSU Tigers. This one came down to the wire. A late foul on Carter gave LSU the chance to take the lead on free throws. Tigers sunk both shots to upset Tennessee 57-56. With that loss, the Lady Vols failed to notch a spot in the top 25 rankings for the first time in 31 years. But Tennessee's season got worse after recording their first loss to Alabama since 1984 on February 15th. The Lady Vols bounced back and downed the Georgia Bulldogs 80-60 on senior night to finish the season with a victory. Despite the uncharted waters of losing, Holly Warlick believes her team still has more to prove.
I think we've done enough to have an NCAA bid. We'll see, but I coach a team that I know that we still got a lot left in us.
The only games left for Warlick's team would be in the NCAA tournament. The Lady Vols will find out if they make the tournament and what region they would be in when the brackets are announced tomorrow. After moving from Mexico with little knowledge of the English language to the University of Tennessee, UT diver Mauricio Robles had to overcome an even harder challenge. His sophomore year, he hit his head on the diving platform, leaving him severely injured and scared to return to the sport. After only a month, Robles got back in the water and, as UT Today's Claudia Coco reports, was able to find success, finishing out his senior year with an SEC championship.
Mauricio Robles, a fifth-year senior at the University of Tennessee, walks away from SECs with not one but 2 titles in the 1-meter and platform events. After his win in the 1-meter, Robles was ready for a tower, his last event.
Matt Kredich, head coach, asked, Mauricio, what's your best event? And I usually say 1-meter because that's my favorite event, but I was like tower. Tower's my best event, my last event tomorrow.
With a strong sense of confidence and some humor, the Mexican native donned a luchador wrestling mask for introductions into the platform event. He ended up taking tower with ease. He set an SEC record in the men's platform final with a total of 439.9 points, with his nearest competitor trailing him by 50.
Real, I couldn't believe it. I was in shock for the next. I think I couldn't even sleep that night. I went to bed at like 3 a.m.
Robles has won a total of 4 career titles, which came at the beginning and end of his career. He is now preparing for zones, which is the qualifying meet for NCAAs. For UT Today, this is Claudia Coco.
Mauricio wasn't the only one who saw success. The girls' swim team came in second only to Texas A&M. That's all for sports. I'll send it back to you, Taylor and Nick.
Thanks, Channing. Still to come on UT Today, prom season is right around the corner. Some high school girls can't afford to pay hundreds of dollars for dresses. How UT sorority was able to help out.
All right, but we're only buying what you can wear out. Really?
Welcome back. Prom season is coming soon for high schoolers, and many girls are shopping for that perfect outfit.
UT Today producer Rachel Craig tells us about how one sorority is raising awareness by helping seniors find the right dress.
The most important dress for girls apart from their wedding dress.
There's something about telling a girl that she looks beautiful in a dress that just makes you feel so much better about your day too.
Alpha Chi Omega at the University of Tennessee held Say Yes to the Prom Dress to sell discounted formal dresses, shoes, and accessories, all to support a good cause.
And we were just looking for a way to not only give back to our philanthropy, which is the YWCA, and helping women who have been affected by domestic violence, but also helping out the girls in the community as well.
Dresses sold for as low as $10, a huge discount from the usual hundreds to wear a dress for one night. Hannah hopes that the event is a great opportunity for the sorority to help the girls' self-esteem, along with raising awareness about domestic violence.
And we're trying to do that by helping them as well find the perfect prom dress, because what girl doesn't want to look beautiful their senior year prom?
Reporting for UT Today, I'm Rachel Craig.
Unsold items from Say Yes to the Prom Dress were given away to local girls who could not afford to attend. Money raised from the sale went to the YWCA of Knoxville.
Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll be taking a look at the Rain Garden in Claxton next show.
And we'll also look at how one man overcame addiction to create his own business.
For UT Today, I'm Taylor Gilmore.
And I'm Nick Patillo. See you next time.